We're back to our earlier conversation on the emergence of a political coalition on the platform of the African Democratic Congress, ADC. I'm now being joined by TVC News On now Nonye to attempt this question. Ozon, I got to have you tonight. The big question is, will the coalition collide or coincide?
We will not be in a hurry to answer that question, but we'll just lay a foundation that will help us. Perhaps at the end of the conversation, everybody would have had their own view, of what the response would be. So first, let's begin by asking who are the people in the coalition. They are first made up of PDP members, some of them, because we just saw a story today saying that some members of PDP saying that they are not part of any coalition, but we know that a lot of leaders of PDP are here. And we have some disgruntled APC members, a former national chairman. In fact, the founding national chairman of APC is in that coalition. I attended the meeting the last time. Some Peter Obi loyalists in the Labour Party, and then other shelter-seeking politicians. I mean, politicians who are looking for where to perch, because maybe they are no longer accommodated wherever they have been. And then let's attempt also to, try to expand the conversation. Like APC at the onset, this coalition is a marriage of strange bedfellows. Let's not deceive ourselves about it. At the time APC was being formed, it was made up of people from different political parties who seem not to have ever agreed. But for the purpose of that merger, they agreed and moved on. And so it is similar to what is happening in the ADC now. No politician, underline this, is important to take note of this, that no politician in his right senses will ignore the coalition. No politician will ignore the coalition. Some people say that they amount to nothing, old politicians, people that are tired, people that are worthless and all of that. But the people that really understand the game of politics will not ignore them. The only mission here is to wrest power. So they say we are bringing good governance, we are thinking about the well-being of Nigerians. Nigerians have suffered a lot. All of that are things that are being put together to, convince those that can be convinced. The only mission is to wrest power. What to do with the power has not been discussed yet. So, and then it will be required. For the merger to get the power, it will require submitting personal ambition for the common interest. That is where everybody who are members of the coalition will bring in their personal ambition and submit it for the common interest of the party. Now, could that be possible? Or it is just mere imagination? The big question, who will run? Because for them to win the presidency, somebody has to be in the front seat to win the election. First, Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, Bukola Saraki, Aminu Tambuwal, Rotimi Amechi, all these 5 men rather, have tried this before. In as much as they have a veteran in their midst, and that is Atiku Abubakar. Will understand why I refer to him as a veteran maybe quite shortly. But all of these had tried at one point or the other to become president. But the next question again is, but what will likely happen? Let's look at this together. Atiku Abubakar will run again. Take this to the bank. He didn't invest his time, his energy, and his money in putting this together to hand it over to anybody. Atiku had shown that since 1999, he had been consistent in trying to be president. And so it is not, nobody will see it coming that he will not run again at this time. Let's note that since Atiku Abubakar began to run for presidency, this is the only time he has stayed in Nigeria after losing a previous election. All other elections, after losing, he travels abroad and come back close to the next election. But this time he has stayed, showing some level of seriousness. So Atiku will run again. Then, if he runs, he will win. If he runs if they conduct primary in ADC and he runs, he will win. He has the deep pocket to bankroll anything. He has never stopped running. He has never stopped running. He will whip up the regional sentiment if anything begins to go against him. He will whip up the regional sentiment. He will outplay Peter Obi in the event that both of them are squared at the primary. He will outplay him hands down in party politics. So it is very likely that if he runs, he will become the candidate of the ADC. However, who stands a chance? Let's compare these two men, because everybody had been talking about, not a lot of people are giving attention to other likely aspirants and maybe candidates. A lot have been said about these two men. Let's begin with the 2023 election, where both of them were candidates. Now, PDP that Atiku Abubakar represented had 6.9 million votes in the presidential election, whereas Peter Obi, representing the Labour Party, had 6.1 million votes. So PDP performed better with Atiku at the presidential election more than Obi. The spread, 12 states, they won 12 states. Atiku Abubakar with PDP won 12 states, majority of the states in the northern part of Nigeria. Labour Party with Peter Obi won 12 states, which includes Lagos, an unusual incident, and then the Federal Capital Territory. A lot of people see that as being very striking. And remember, Peter Obi was running with a political party that people said had no structure, he had no machinery, he had no experience in the game at that level, and he got this. And so a lot of people believe that between these two people, Peter Obi may stand a better chance. But let's look further to understand this. Look at the performance of the PDP and the Labour Party in the previous election before this particular election, that is 2019 election. The presidential election, PDP had 11.2 million, and Labour Party without Peter Obi had 5,000 in the presidential election, 5,000 votes, whereas PDP had 11.2 million. At the governorship election, PDP had 14 states. They won 14 states out of about 28 that was conducted in that particular election. PDP won 14. Labour Party had none. In the Senate, PDP had 44 senators who were members of the PDP. Labour Party had none. This is 2019 election. And House of Representatives, PDP had 126, Labour Party had none. So if you compare the performance of PDP and Labour Party in 2019 to how they performed in 2023, you will discover that something made the difference. And a lot of people will tell you that it is the personality and the character of Peter Obi that made the difference between the 2019 election and 2023 election for PDP and Labour Party in the two elections. Let's move on. Now, I said earlier that Atiku will always run because he had been running for presidency since 1993. I refer to him as a veteran. In 1993, during the SDP with Abiola, he was an aspirant in that election. In 2007, he was the candidate of the AC, not ACN then. And then in 2011, he aspired to be president but was defeated by the incumbent then, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan. In 2015, he also came back to aspire to become the candidate of the APC and was defeated here in Lagos by President Muhammadu Buhari. And then 2019, he was the candidate of PDP, and then 2023, he was the candidate of PDP. So he is a veteran in this race of running for election. Now, what happens if Atiku does the expected? The expected is that Atiku will run again. Looking at these antecedents, his history from 1993 up to the last election, he had continued running, and it is very likely he's going to run again. Now, what will happen if he does run again? If Peter Obi stays till then, when Atiku decides to run, if Peter Obi stays till then within the coalition, it will be too late for him to achieve anything. Let's continue with it. If he pulls out, the coalition will shake, certainly. May not collapse, but will shake seriously if he pulls out. Now, he will be blackmailed if he does anything, any of the, like pulling out of the party. He will be blackmailed with everything, including telling him that he's so self-centered, he wants everything to be about him and all of that. And now, if he accepts the VP role, those gang, the obedient movement that people refer to as the headless mob, will abandon him straight. Those group of people do not care anything else about anybody else than Peter Obi. Whether he is right or wrong, that's why a lot of people feel that the group of people are headless mob. But whether they are headless mob or not, they are making impact in the election numbers. We'll be wrapping it up now. Conclusion. Individuals need political parties to contest elections. Individuals need political parties to contest elections. However, individuals most times make parties what they become, like we have seen with PDP and Labour Party comparing 2019 election and 2023 election. It was the presence and the personality of Peter Obi that twisted it for Labour Party, and it became a major party to have won 6.6 million votes in the election as against 5,000 votes it won in the election before then. This ADC coalition has enough ingredients, enough personality, enough firepower to blossom, but will hardly fly because of irreconcilable ambition of individuals. This is where the matter is. Now, if it must be me syndrome, which all of us had seen from even Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar. Remember, Peter Obi wasn't in Labour Party. He was in PDP before the 2023 election. When he discovered that he wasn't having it his way, he left PDP and went to Labour Party. That's also a sign of someone who is self-centered. Now, if it must be me syndrome is defeated by any means by those concerned, then the ruling party, APC, should watch his back, because the coalition has everything it needs to succeed. Now, answer the question for yourself. Will the coalition collide or coincide?
We'll leave our viewers to answer that question.
Because the answer is in the belly of time.
Yeah, it is.
If these men here will bury their individual differences, but will it ever happen?
That's
will
the big
it
question.
ever happen?
And we have less than 2 years to the next election and the next inauguration ceremony. We really wait to see how it goes. Ozon Onanya, thank you very much for this robust conversation we've had tonight.
It's my pleasure.
Well, let's take a break now. TVC News at 10 returns in just a moment. Please stay with us.